Have you ever used a coffee mug or a plate or a bowl and wondered, I wonder how they decorated this? Probably not, but I have, and I set out on a mission to find out how it's done. I will be talking about how a ceramic piece goes from a blank plate or a coffee mug or a bowl to a decorated work of art that you created yourself. Specifically, I will tell you how to go about picking out a piece to decorate that fits your needs and wants. Then I'll go through a few steps on how to choose your color, plot out your designs, and finally what happens when your piece when you hand it over to be glazed and fired. Now that I've hopefully piqued your interests, let's begin with how to pick a piece that fits your needs. Picking a piece of ceramics is often the most exciting and most difficult part of the process. There are many choices to make. These are a few for the ceramic shops that I go to. Mugs, bowls and plates. What type of piece would you like to decorate? Do you want it to be functional? Do you want it to be a plate or a bowl that you can use? Or do you want it to be decorative? Do you want it to be like this candle holder that I've made? It's pretty, but you don't really use it for anything other than to put a candle in. So, those are your choices. Also, how much time do you want to spend doing this? If you choose a large piece, it may take a lot of time to do your design. If you choose a small piece, same thing. It all depends on how much you want to do. But you should think ahead. If you need the piece quickly, you're going to need to do something that you can get done in one day and not have to come back and do. Okay, now that we've decided what we're going to decorate and how much time I want to invest in it, let's move on to the step of choosing your colors and whether you will freehand paint or use a stencil. At this point, you'll need to decide whether you're going to use a stencil or if you're going to freehand paint. This plate I made is using a stencil, and then there are freehand plates that I've also made. This one is a mug, springtime mug. There's a plate that goes along with the springtime mug. These are all freehand. This is my favorite way to make these because there are no mistakes. Only you know what you wanted it to look like, so therefore there are no mistakes. With a stencil you can make mistakes, but then again, only you know what it's supposed to look like, so who knows. Let's see. If you decide to do a pattern, then you're going to need to choose a stencil and plot out your work. With this plate, you need to make sure if you're going to put a design in the center that you find out where the center of the plate is, and then you're going to need to stencil onto the plate using a pencil. You don't need to worry about the pencil marks because they burn off in the kiln. Your next step for the stenciling and for freehand painting would be to choose your colors. The studio that I go to has this wall of colors. You get a palette and you choose your colors. The tile on the wall shows what one coat will look like, and the last part of the tile shows what 4 coats will look like. To get a solid color, you're going to need 4 coats of paint. So just keep that in mind if you're on a time crunch, that you're going to have to put 4 layers of the paint on each part that you're painting. It does take a while, so you need to take that into consideration. Once you've gotten your paint, you can either start filling in your stencil or come up with your idea for your freehand. And that can be anything you want. That's why I like that better. You're going to need to go over, like I said, every part of the piece that has paint on it needs to have 4 coats of paint if you want it to be a solid color. Now that we've covered choosing your piece and painting your piece, how do you finish up? First, you need to make sure that you have put your name on the front or the back or somewhere on your piece, because you're going to hand your piece over to the staff at the ceramic shop. They are going to put a clear glaze over the whole piece, which will come out shiny and will bring out the color of the background and your painting. It takes about a week to get your piece back, so they'll issue you a receipt, and you come back in a week. During that time, they'll glaze it, they'll fire it in what's called a kiln, and the kiln is just a giant oven that heats to 2,000 degrees and bakes your piece to a point where it is food safe. After that, it usually takes about 12 to 24 hours to kiln something, and then they let it cool. Usually 12 to 24 more hours. They let it cool till they can open it, and once they open it and the pieces are cool enough to touch, they sand off any areas that may be rough, and then it's done. They bring it back to the shop. In a week, you come with your receipt and pick it up, and there you go. You've made a beautiful piece of art that you get to keep forever. Let's see. Once you've planned it, that's it. You've just decorated a usable and beautiful piece of art. In conclusion, I hope that I've piqued your interest in ceramics. It's fun, it's easy, and you get to take it home and enjoy it for years to come. We've learned about picking which piece of ceramic that you'd like to decorate, deciding whether you'll use a stencil or freehand paint it, and the final step of glazing and firing to make it a usable piece of art. Remember when I asked you if you ever wondered how a plate or a mug was made? Well, now you know. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and will give this fun pastime a try.